I'm just a phone. I'm a cellular phone. I'm just a phone.
Morning, Dash.
Oh, hey, Vedius. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Happy
Halloween. I can see you've made a costume.
I did. You didn't bring me.
Mine's a two-piecer. When Dracos comes, you're going to be impressed.
Got it. You get mine?
I mean,
you get mine?
You,
See, all right, here, let me help you out. I am SK Telecom. See, because I'm a phone.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
It's pretty good.
That's very good.
I'm very proud of this costume.
Oh, now we're talking
Raz,
costumes.
Kobe. Hey, I love the costumes.
Yes.
Let me guess. Raz, you are a mummy.
Yes.
You're a mummy.
You're a mummy.
I'm disappointment.
Oh. Okay, all right. Kobe, what about you?
I'm the reason Griffin's not here.
No. It's a sword. Yeah. That's a good one, man.
Where is Dracos?
I like that. That's like a play on there. That was really well done.
Oh, here we go.
Ready?
This is it. Right, we're going to show them. Are you ready? So, the future world champions.
Ready?
G2.
I also think it's G2. I'm just going to need a moment.
All right, he needs a moment. But here we go. It's going to be the future world champions.
GG. Yeah, 2G. No, it's GG. It's 2Gs. It's
because we're 2G.
Yeah,
2Gs.
Literally, that was always the plan.
What do you think about that,
sure.
Dash?
Yeah.
G2.
G2.
Yeah.
Yesterday's series went to 4, but it sure felt like more as FPX and Invictus Gaming went blow for blow for blow for blow. It was bloody, to say the least. We'll see what our competitors today deliver as G2 Esports are aiming for their dreams of the Grand Slam opposite the most successful League of Legends org of all time. You're getting a look at the footage captured from the Oppo Reno 2 camera phone, which you saw me cosplaying as not too long ago. The players themselves are making their way into the arenas to put on a show for us today. I'm Dash, joined by Raz, Deficio, and Kobe, and I think I can speak for all of us when I say I feel robbed of that Game 5 IG versus FPX. Come on!
Yeah, I'd actually already called on cast. We're going to Game 5.
Yep.
It's happening right now. There's no way they can actually lose in the late game. They found a way.
They found a way.
The Shy found a way.
He saved his ult and his flash for Game 5.
No! Let's talk about that series, though, because it was a spectacular one, even with that little bit of a letdown right at the end.
Yeah, I love the fact that we talked about regional familiarity. These two teams knew each other so damn well that the team fights is what it became about. Tien had an insane performance throughout the day.
I say team fight and I say the brain.
There we go.
FPX always a step ahead. Doing B talking about how it's not just about your mechanics, it's also about how smart you are in the game. They find these great roams. Him and Tian played amazing together, and they were the two main reasons for FPX beating IG.
And that was one of the other things I was a little bit shocked about. I actually tweeted out I was interested in seeing this intelligent team in the finals, and people thought I was being sarcastic, but that's because they got caught up in the craziness of the late game in a lot of this series, and they forget the early planning that went into it from FPX and how well a lot of their early games were actually executed to get through some of these strong lanes that were drafted against them.
And there's a reason why you saw that level of excitement coming out of Doomby, because they got that trip to Paris. They're slotted into the finals, and the road for them to get here throughout the entire year was rigorous. Trials and tribulations, as you would assume from all of these teams, but it's insane that they were able to achieve that goal as far as anybody else kind of imagined.
I mean, if you're going to go to the World Finals, going through the defending champions is a good way to get there. Again, it was mentioned that IG had a lot of powerhouse, a lot of muscle on their side, but that increase in performance and cooperation of FPX is really what pushed them over the edge. It made for a super fun series, while yes, ending on a slightly disappointing note for IG. But then we got to talk about Tien. the MVP.
The man went wild throughout that series, and of course, I love the interview that he had because he still got that happy-go-lucky element to him. Still kind of hope that going up against G2 in the finals, knowing that G2 is such a strong hometown team, and he hopes that the crowd can still cheer their name at the very end.
Without a doubt, and I hope they will do the same. Of course, today, or yeah, rather in yesterday's match, it was a constant bloodbath, and when it came to booking a ticket to the finals, some of the members of FunPlus Phoenix looked for flashy one-shots, and others decisive outplays. But then there was the jungler who tossed a barrel just to say, "I'm helping," presented by State Farm. In his final game against Invictus Gaming, Tian's well-placed explosive cast put a stop to IG's teamfight initiation.
Rookie has got the ability. Baolan's coming in from behind. The quickness is available and combine it with the Hero's entrance. That's a Devour that comes out. Hero's entrance comes out. JackeyLove gets the Divine Judgment. Invictus Gaming want to win this fight. Now the tower has fallen. They've turned this around. JackeyLove has got a lot of damage to work with, but not that much HP. Rookie goes golden for a while or two, but FunPlus, they're losing the members. 1, 2, 3. It's kills back and
so close.
It's dirty. The Devour from Crisp.
FPX won the fight.
FPX have won the fight. They've got Baron and Pound minions. They might just win the game.
They're going to keep going for it. Crisp actually charges ahead. The inhibitor will go down. It is Shy versus FBX.
I want to see exactly why. Here's the flank from Baolan. Rookie just recalled, so they get onto the AD carry. Nice time Kench play here from Crisp. And then let's see. JackeyLove knocked into the wall, and then it's doing B's ulti that stops the Shy from moving in, and the G-Pill, so he zoned away almost the entire fight, not dealing damage until now when he joins, and multiple IG members are already low.
And after ulting in, JackeyLove, after the ult ends the Kale explosion on him, he doesn't have the safety to auto anymore. He's on the wrong side of the team with no front line.
Tian is a guy that we've been talking about pretty much all year long, Raz. Yes. And that ultimate to deny the Kale and Kai'Sa combination was really critical in them finishing it out.
That's why we wanted to see Gragas in the draft. I think Kobe called it. Right?
It was Kobe who called it.
I think it was. Anyway, that's why we wanted Gragas in there. You know, Tian is obviously an amazing jungler, but also that combination when you are against like a wombo combo like the Kale Kai'Sa, fantastic.
Yeah, and the team fights were just so impactful throughout the entire series. It's what made FPX the ultimate winners of the one. So being able to see those small interactions, incredibly important.
Just one of the many plays that Tian made that contributed to him receiving MVP for that series. We are one best-of-5, though, away from the final at Accor Hotel's arena. And yesterday, we highlighted the pedigree of some of the semifinalists with a very important caveat that most of the trophies were on the two teams competing today.
And that's what you get when you set up one of the best possible semifinals in all of Worlds history. This is SKT, the greatest organization of all time, going against G2, probably the best Western team that has ever been assembled.
Yeah, and we say that even before they make the final, because they've already won MSI earlier this year. They've won 2 LEC titles as well, of course, with this new lineup. And funny enough, they're also the team closest to the Grand Slam we've actually had. RNG tried last year. They won MSI, 2 titles in the LPL. Got knocked out by G2 when no one expected it to happen in that 5-game series. Now it's G2's turn. I think they can go all the way.
And it just makes these series so much more impactful knowing that the best team were able to get through based off that experience alone. When G2 came throughout this entire year building that team, even hearing about it before the show came on, about the idea of bringing Caps into the mid lane, Perks, not only was it the skill, but also knowing that on the biggest stages they can get the job done, it definitely showed in the earlier series.
Now, G2 is 2 best-of-5s away from doing what no other team has done before.
And it's really cool to think about. If G2 hadn't beat SKT at MSI, then SKT would be the ones in that position. They won spring and summer as well. And
you just assuming they would beat TL no matter what as well in that final? No credit to TL?
Okay, I like that.
All right, but thank you very much for extending us that courtesy.
We got an NA team in here.
Right. Without a doubt, though, because of that loss, SKT is coming in this series with a fire in their eyes. And since their only best-of-5 loss of the entire year, SKT, they've looked like a different team.
Yeah, I think the thing about SKT is the fact that you're right. They've developed so much. There are new tricks to them. Because at the beginning of MSI, you saw them still have to develop, starting out with control mages. You know, now it's just kind of a dirty word. Yeah, no one wants to hear none of that. But then they started this tournament knowing very well what the meta was based on. A lot more active picks. You look at Faker, he has new tricks. Like, completely looking for engages and fights whenever he has the opportunity with the early gold lead that he has.
I mean, you talk about Faker. I look to Khan, and I see a guy who was the odd man out in the past. You know, you had controlled SKT on one side of the map, and then Khan just like going ham on the other side on his own, and we were like criticize him for not knowing when to push forward. Now it feels like everyone else is looking to him and saying, we want to play the same way you're playing, because we have to play aggressive. We must try and win our lanes. They're drafting for it. The Draven in the quarterfinal, that was, you know, not the greatest, but at least it shows the new style where everyone is trying to be more proactive and more aggressive, which normally is not the case.
And honestly, I think that Klid is the one leading this charge, leading this paradigm shift that we've seen in SKT. They've been around for so long, but they have had to change their ways. And he's the one getting it started in the early game.
I think that is showcased as well, this evolution within the draft phase too, right? Alongside this changing playstyle, you already mentioned things like Faker, pulling out the Tristana.
Yes.
For a player, the pedigree of Faker, to be able to take a step back and say, I have to change the way I play to be successful in the new era of League of Legends, is such a cool thing to witness.
It says a lot about why he has always been regarded as the best player in history, right? Because the fact he can always adapt, always be in the top 3 in mid lanes in a world and international setting.
Yeah, very true. And we have seen Faker in so many different styles. We've seen him try to roam to carry, where he would pick up the kills. Now he's obviously roaming to get other members fed on his team as well. So he's been there before, he's tried it, and now he's, of course, succeeding again.
It makes that mid lane matchup very interesting. And to speak on how different Worlds Faker is from MSI Faker, Professor Kobe wanted to show off some textbook examples from just last week.
Well, follow me then, gentlemen. You can join me from over there for this Worlds edition of Professor Kobe. And I did want to focus on the most important role in League of Legends. It is the mid lane, and specifically mid lane roaming, because there has been an evolution in mid lane play that has really spread to the entire map. And you actually don't even have to go to the one that's big in everyone's minds. Caps on the Yasuo, he was less than 30% of the time in lane, almost, jungling the majority of the time. If we look at the first game of both quarterfinals for SKT and G2 leading into this series, you will see them play almost the exact same plays. We'll start with Faker here. Now, there's a couple things as far as planning goes that you need to note before you even get into the play. As you can see on the mini-map here, they've drafted a very aggressive lane matchup for top lane. Khan's got the Lucian into Gangplank. He's pushing the wave up in preparation for a dive. They've also drafted an Elise and saved counterpick for Faker for that mid lane. He used it to get a pushing mid lane matchup there with the Lissandra into LeBlanc. And as you can see, already spamming the Q through the minion wave into the LeBlanc for harassment and to get her under the tower. Let's roll through the clip here. This is extremely early on in the game. And we'll see that he's chugging his potion early on so that he can get this wave shove. And he times it perfectly with the jungle route from Klid heading down on Elise. So there's no missed moment here that they lose out on because of their draft preparation. They don't want to let any sort of opening for this Gangplank to get back into the game. And because they use all these resources to the top side, because Faker is willing to draft and to roam early on, they create a seed of power on the map for themselves that can then grow later by itself. Now the Lucian is against this Gangplank who is losing out on the minion wave in addition to the first blood going over. It's not just Faker, though, because we want to roll the one on Caps as well. He chose Syndra in this game versus the exact same lane matchup, the LeBlanc. He shoves it early using the teleport that you can see here because he had to blind pick. Then we also have another pushing topside matchup. They get the Jace into the Kale, and as you can see, Jankos is already leading the way. Let's see how they link up once again. This is a bit more nuanced of an example because they don't actually get the kill, and it is good communication from Damwon backing Nuguri off. But even with him backing off, the objective is accomplished. Minion wave here, getting denied from the Kale, zoned off of experience. And when Damwon see all these resources, mid lane and jungle, going to the top side of the map, they try and force a play on the bottom side of the map, and it forces Nuguri to teleport away from this pushing top lane wave. So this is going to be an entire wave of experience into the waiting arms of Jace, and further create one of those discrepancies on the map. So then mid lane gets to go back to mid lane and rule from there. it's really been just an amazing evolution that we've seen over the course of the years that all of the top mid laners that are here at Worlds have embraced.
It was on pure display yesterday with Doonby, especially on that Rumble game, and I'm excited that both of our mid laners today will probably be, you know, lunging for this similar play style.
Yeah, because you actually have carries on the side lanes that you can really go through. And if you're able to do that, not only do you take the carries down or can give your top laner the advantage, but your jungle now has an extra few camps that they can start to steal away. It helps the team as a whole along.
So I've gleaned that we're going to see a lot of roaming in this best of 5.
Oh, for sure.
And while we can praise the skills of these mid laners as they prepare for a clash, there is a question that the internet has been begging for us to answer, and I will not allow us to shirk it away any longer. Baby Faker versus Baby Caps. Who was the cutest baby? Go ahead and vote in chat. We will be discussing this and breaking it down here on the desk. We're going to get some photos up on the board so that the 3 of you can evaluate the cuteness of these 2 babies.
All right, I'm out for this. I'm down.
There it is.
Oh, wait a second.
Of course, on the left, we have Baby Faker. And over here on the right, we have
I love that he's already working on dexterity here with the piano practice at a young age.
Working up the APM.
Yep, fingers are definitely getting work as a young child. But look at the alertness as
that's map awareness.
That's map awareness right there.
Exactly. All right, so I can see that the 3 of you are no closer to a decision here. So I have gathered some interesting baby facts about the 2 of these that might help you arrive at a conclusion. First up, in the category of WWA pre-1Y, that's walking without assistance pre-1 year.
Okay.
Caps was able to walk without assistance at 10 months of age.
That's impressive.
Roaming advantage.
That is very impressive.
That's pretty good. Now, Faker, 8 months.
What? He beat
2 whole months ahead of Caps. Faker was walking without assistance.
Possible?
That's insane.
And now you might be saying, there it is, it's settled. Faker is the cuter and the better baby. But don't worry, I've got a couple more. I've got a couple more stats, my friends. Next up is the SHD. Spawn hour differential. The time at which both of these 2 babies were born.
Okay.
First up, Faker was born at 2 p.m. That would be 14 for those of you here in Europe or anywhere other than the U.S.
That's some rookie numbers.
Caps came in 2 hours before at right around noon. Oh. So an earlier spawn time means he's out on the map sooner.
Yes, exactly.
To be able to affect plays.
That's 2 hours different.
Right.
That's a lot.
So again, now you're sitting here going, well, what do I do, Dash? We got 1 point in one category, 1 in the other. Don't worry, I've got some extra special fun facts about each of these fellas that you might like to hear. Caps as a baby, some of his favorite pastimes were climbing trees. Very mobile, very mobile.
I like that.
That seems dangerous for a baby.
His first word was the Danish word for food.
Oh, Mel?
Yes.
That's a great word.
That word.
Yeah, he was hungry.
That word.
He wanted to get fed.
Yeah,
That's what
wanted
happened.
to get fed from the very beginning. All right, now Faker. Fun facts about Faker. Faker beat his teacher in the 2nd grade in a typing contest. He beat his own teacher in a typing contest. He was able to type 600 characters per minute.
Okay, that's like really...
In 2nd grade!
But Caps said food.
But he said food.
So...
Can I give my answer already?
So yes.
I gotta give my answer.
Here we go.
That's Faker. That's crazy. He's putting in the work. Even as a baby, he's been training.
All right, so we got a Faker.
We don't know how good the teacher was.
Maybe it was, yeah, maybe the teacher was abysmal.
So I hear it, but like, he said food and he was climbing trees as a baby. I'm going Caps. I'm going for Caps.
Why is the
Caps over here? What's the reasoning?
I mean, that's just impressive.
Okay.
So here we go. We got the Caps. Oh, I love the baby faces included in there. We got the Caps vote for Deficio. Kobe went with Faker, which means that Raz, you get to weigh in here as well.
Strong fingers. Media trained, it has to be Faker.
I don't think I could argue with that. As much as I love the fact that Caps came out of the womb looking to be fed and drive his team to victory, you cannot deny the effort, work, and dexterity that this guy has been putting in from the very beginning. So I'm going to go with Faker as well. All right, now let's acknowledge that this was a ridiculous discussion. Overall, this was just to poke a little bit of fun. Caps and Faker are quite obviously 2 very established mid laners, and we want to thank them, the teams, and most importantly, their families for helping us to have a laugh. For more, though, on the clash that's coming up, here's the G2 Jungler.
Thank you very much. I'm here with Jankos ahead of G2's epic clash versus SKT in the semifinal. Now, Jankos, I know that your team is usually pretty relaxed, in-game, out-of-game, anything, but can you tell me what the atmosphere is like amongst G2 right now ahead of this clash?
Well, we are obviously very stressed, and we are shaking our pants, and we already booked our flights to Berlin. You know, we are going home tomorrow. No, but honestly, I'm pretty excited myself. I think the team is really excited. I think Grabs is kind of inting the drafts right now, but we as a team prepared some additional drafts, so I think we can pull it out.
Okay, it seems like everything's going as normal for G2. I also heard you were training to get up early, because this is actually earlier than the weeks before. Has that been a big hurdle?
Well, we are not in our comfort zone, I would say, since normally LEC, but also Worlds before, were around like 5, 6 p.m. Right now we have to play at 12, so we had to change our schedule and start waking up around 7, 8 a.m. instead of waking up at like 11 a.m. So it's a big difference, but we got used to that during the week. And yesterday I made like all of the team in practice room. We were all playing solo queue in the morning, so I think that we adapted and we are ready. Okay,
fantastic. I want to turn it on you for a second, because this is the second time you will try to get to a Worlds final. Of course, in 2016, you also played a semi-final.
And 2018 as well.
And 2018 as well, indeed. It is already the third time. My bad, it's just that 2016 one was so crazy. But what does it mean to you to get that chance one more time, and knowing that that will absolutely cement you as one of the best players in Europe?
Well, I mean, they say that third time is the charm, right? So I hope that after so many tries, I can finally make it. I also feel like this time is different than any other time. I feel like we can actually win against any team, be it Fan plus Phoenix in the final, or be it the SKT in the semifinals. So I'm personally really excited to come out on stage and show the world our best showing today.
Final note, going up against SKT. Now, you beat them back at MSI. How different do you think this matchup is going to look, and how much do you think SKT will have changed and possibly evolved and be ready for you today?
Well, I mean, I think SKT for sure plays right now way better than they did back in MSI. They also play with effort and not mata. I think, though, we as a team improved a lot. During MSI, we couldn't really practice with Mickey a lot. Now, Mickey doesn't have the reach issues since like half a year now, so we've been practicing with Mickey a lot. Our scrims are still like not so great against the Asian teams overall, but personally, I think we can make it, and we are really prepared.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Good luck on the Rift. Back over to you.
Thank you, Shocks. Jankos believing that both teams have improved from their MSI state. It was already an incredible best-of-5 series. It just points to an even better one here today. Now, throughout the tournament, the bot lane has been an inflection point for many teams, and this series proves no different, as Perkz has been performing incredibly all tournament long.
And Perkz, he's the face of G2. He's the captain on this team, and now he's also one of the big carries you look towards. At the start of the year, when he just role swapped to AD carry, it was very clear that he was good on mages, but he was struggling a bit on some of the marksmen, especially when it came to like late game team fighting, some positional errors here and there. He's gotten so much better, and now he's actually competing against the very best AD carries in the world, who's played for 5-6 years in this role.
Competing and winning against them. It's just actually so crazy to me to even think about role swapping that successfully at this high of a level. This is the highest possible level, the top of Worlds here, and he is a dominant bottom lane along with Mickey.
And that's the thing, because he's going to be going up against a pretty sturdy wall, because he's going up against a career AD carry that has dominated at every kind of competition he's been a part of. Teddy is an insane team fighter. I think he is the best team fighter in the tournament thus far. The fact that he's able to accomplish so much in Group C, and when they went up against RNG, that was the game, I guess 2 games in a row, where it became very obvious to me. Because even SKT, that can build compositions around 1-3-1 or 1-4, have so much faith in his individual play that they will still team fight, recognizing that they will win because of him. So I think Teddy will be a very good competitor going up against them.
I get the hype. I do think, however, slightly overrated when we look at just his overall tournament performance. Especially early game, it's not looked that amazing for SKT's bot lane. They've actually been punished quite a few times. Great late game team fighter, but again, I also think Perkz is matching that level right now.
We've seen the level of alertness from, G2, because they've gone up against Dom1. They also had a pretty tough one going up against, Griffin in the groups. But SKT, we've seen a little bit of that in groups. not at all in the best of 5 going up against. Yeah, like so.
What are you trying to say about Splice?
I understand they weren't trying as much. And even bringing in Mata was a good point. Also, it felt like there was a lot of experimenting within the draft to see if the Draven would work out going into the future. Obviously, ain't going to be getting them positives on that one, but I think the Quinn was a good takeaway. So I think there was a lot to be gleaned off of the strategy.
Yeah.
Not so much of the alertness that we usually are accustomed to seeing in SKT.
I think it makes sense then that we put a spotlight on that matchup. One more question within the comparison of the AD carries is are their roles the same on both teams? You talk about Teddy being an extraordinary team fighter, but as has been attributed to SKT typically in the past, their bot lane is very much of a, just a hold on and survive while the rest of the map does something. What are the roles of each of these bot lanes here today?
Yeah, certainly different because SKT would definitely put more effort towards the top side of the map. You even saw it in the forward percentage there from Teddy. It is pretty much just hold on and allow Clid to get any advantage through mid and perhaps top side if there's a good matchup there. So I want to see if G2 can do much about that because it seems from the consistent play we got from them, they're going straight to bot lane.
I also think outside laning phase, G2's bot lane are more of a focus point of like where do we want to fight. Like both players are extremely active on the map. Perkz likes to go to a side lane as an AD carry, push out a lane and then move in to join his team. And Mickey, of course, is super strong on these different engaged champions. So I do see a little bit more from G2's bot lane when it comes to just brute forcing where the team wants to fight if they're actually getting a lead.
Champion select for game 1 is just 4 minutes away. So I want to talk not just champions, but tactics for each of these teams going in to that phase.
And it's really important for me looking at the draft for this crazy series that both teams are focusing very heavily on counter picks, on flexible picks, especially for their solo lanes, to try and set up possibilities where they can work with their junglers. If you go all the way back to the beginning of the tournament, the beginning of the group stage, SKT is notorious for being a fairly slow starter at international tournaments, dropping some games, learning and building along the way and along the course of the tournament. But as you can see from the first one, they came in with this game plan, knowing Fnatic had played a bunch of Garen Yuumi. They wanted to try and prey on that free lane down bottom, so they draft the Kayle early with the Akali as these 2 possible flex picks for solo lanes. However, then the Tristana comes in, they switch it to Faker, so he goes aggressive in mid lane, and they get Teddy on bottom side with the Kayle to be able to bring that utility with the ultimate and the scaling for later. And I think just them coming into the tournament with that type of planning is a different and more scary look for SKT.
I 100% agree. I think you need that flexibility in your draft if you want to win Worlds right now. I think G2, on the other hand, they started like this. When they played their first official game with this lineup back in spring, it was actually against us. And they were like Karthus jungle, Zoe bot lane, Jace. And it was like the moment you got past 15 minutes, you got hit by one long-range skill shot and you just died.
You weren't expecting that?
You were not expecting that.
Okay,
I mean, I was, of course, but like, no, you were definitely not expecting it. So they started off saying, we will play all these different things. We have the mages. We can swap things around left and right. And they've done it all year long.
Yeah, and I think what's even crazier is that we expected that level of like flexibility from G2, but they've gone very standard. The draft that you see in front of you is actually an incredibly standard one where they would bait out the Cassiopeia mid thinking it's going up against the Ryze, but then they put the Syndra mid to deal with it. They have a good mid lane, got a good top lane. So I wonder what drafts we're going to be seeing from both teams, really.
Yeah, both teams essentially were on the extremes of this discussion and then have done work over the year to kind of, expand their repertoire of strategies. Minute and a half to go. It's time to put you guys on record. We've already got one team who's headed to Paris. That would be FPX. Which of these 2 teams will be joining them? Raz, we're going to start with you. SKT, G2, who takes it?
I think it was clear as day when we saw it in the quarterfinals versus Damwon how good G2 is. And so even though I've been singing the praises of Teddy, I think G2 is a much cleaner team. They don't have to find themselves drawing into team fights. I think they take this one out.
The 3-1 call there for Raz for G2. Deficio?
I'm also on G2. I think they are actually better connected between lanes. When something happens in one lane, they react properly in the other one, and they snowball each other. You get a lead in top, use that to then get mid going, and therefore also bot after. So I think they can do that better than SKT.
Another 3-1 prediction for G2. The G2 army is out in force in Spain here today. Kobe, what is your thinking on how this best of 5 plays out?
I can feel it, and I can see where it comes from, right? Because if you only look at the quarterfinals, I would also say G2 performed better.
I'm looking all year, baby!
Like a better team. However,
get the graphic up.
there's a key word here when people are looking at the SKT quarterfinals and Faker specifically, and they're saying he underperformed. Ooh. That term is used because they know he has a much higher ceiling, and he always gets to finals at Worlds. I think that him and Clid working on their mid-jungle synergy is going to be the key to this matchup for unlocking the entire map, and I'm going to go with SKT.
Woo! We got to vote for SKT in a 5-game series. We heard Frost talking about it yesterday. SKT being in the tournament elevates the status of what it means to win Worlds because of the pedigree of that team. So whether it's SKT or G2, we'll have to see. It's the greatest